Now, going over to the political part podcast, you have some great news. 2 more wins for Texas and small businesses against the feds. This is coming to us thanks to literally Texas.com? Oh, I wish. No, the CenterSquare.com. Titles, Texas. That'd be too cool. Now, specifically, Bethany Blanky, who's a writer over there, says, quote, 2 more Texas wins in court, sweeping small business regulations and parental rights cases. Which, again, if you're a small business owner, yeah, some good news. I'll tell you that much. Hold down here. Oh, apologies for that. Now, going to the article, they say, quote, the state of Texas has won 2 more wins in court in a sweeping small business federal regulatory action that a federal judge ruled is unconstitutional and a federal agency rule related to parental rights and children's medical care. In the first, the federal district court issued a nationwide injunction to block reporting requirements mandated by Congress in the Corporate Transparency Act. He says is, quote, likely unconstitutional. Congress passed a law in 2021, later overriding a veto by former President Donald Trump. Yes, this is great news. You know why? It's going to save small businesses money, and it's a pain. And it's, like most things in government, would just hurt people. And I say that because my small business would have been affected by this. The fine, if you didn't do this paperwork just right, is $500 per day. And I think it caps at $10,000. So if you're a small business owner and you can't afford the fee that your accounting firm wants to charge you or your CPA, you're going to do it yourself. They're going to go online to the government website, which is rudimentary to say the least. And if you make one small mistake, $500 per day. For a small business, that's detrimental. They'll put you out of business. And all this thing was, you're going to add a couple more names so you can see the founders of companies, which also for privacy concerns maybe is not appropriate if you're more of a bombastic, like if you're like a political brand or something. Maybe you don't want people knowing that's you. There's already so much micromanagement and regulation. They already know enough about the accounts and businesses to make them relatively clean. And again, it would not put me out of business, but my CPA, who I have a great CPA, I mean, she does great work. Now, they're going to charge my company or myself $500 per company to do this. And I got a couple. Which again, I know for a multi-million-dollar corporation, and for some people, $500 is nothing. To me, that's a quarter rent. To me, that's a lot. That's like a month's groceries, more than a month's groceries. That's ridiculous. And I understand the benefit of having her do it, because at the end, they're a CPA, they do this for a living, they would do it perfectly. Again, that's so much money to small businesses, especially for the fines that they'd have. Again, I am so thankful that they got an injunction against this. And this is one of the best examples of showing just, more regulation hurts small businesses. Because either they have to take a risk and do it themselves, or have to hire someone else or pay someone else to do it for them, who, again, that's their career. That's their core competency is accounting and compliance. And Kevin O'Leary, says it best when he goes on all these shows, and he talks about how much deregulation will help small businesses and consumers, because it brings down the cost of goods for the consumers too. So again, that part when I saw this article, I was smiling ear to ear, because again, it made my day. It saved my company my companies, because I have a couple. We got the media company and my tech company. And again, Topic Technologies, free flamethrower with every IT purchase. A little biased, but I think they're awesome because they're me. But again, that's $1,000, half a month rent, just on regulation. Which again, they already know everything about it. So to me, I was elated. It was almost like winning, not like winning the lottery, but it was like, I don't know, depending on your belief system, a little blessing, but it was a nice thing to happen towards, getting close to the holidays when, costs usually go up with all, you're getting gifts and stuff for people. But that was great news. Now, they continue saying, quote, after Trump's veto was overridden, Texas Top Shop LLC sued U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland, that piece of shit. They didn't say that article. I did. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filed an amicus brief in support of Texas businesses, which is great. That law required entities incorporated under state law to disclose personal information of their stakeholders, including addresses, ID documents. Yeah. Which, I don't think so. Especially, again, my show is not very controversial in terms of my beliefs are mostly libertarian. Obviously, I'm a little more right-leaning on some topics. But yeah, if you're like a major political commentator that's maybe more far right or more far left. Oh, I was about to say far left, but they're not the ones getting attacked, are they? Well, if you're far right, they know your address, that gets leaked, that's publicly available. That's not good. Now, again, they said the penalties are $500 so the penalties were $500 per day and up to 2 years in prison. Again, the umpteenth time, screw the Fed. put people in jail for that? I'm so flabbergasted I can barely speak. Not saying much because I can barely speak in general, but nevertheless, yeah, $5 per day and up to 2 years in prison. Non-compliance. And again, some people just make honest mistakes too, and they still fall into non-compliance. Ridiculous. So this is why I hate big government. I have a disdain for overregulation because it hurts small businesses the most. Large companies, $500 is a rounding error. I mean, Amazon spends more money on toilet paper for employees than this would ever possibly cost them. Now, again, it says, who does this affect? Single-member LLCs, multi-member LLCs, S corporations, and C corporations. Yep. And they say, when do you have to file? Again, I should say it's not legal advice. And again, this could change the fluid situation. Say it could have been up to, what is it? New businesses in 2024 within 9 days of formation. New business within 30 days. Existing businesses by December 31st. Thankfully, this injunction is currently in. Again, not financial advice by time, or tax advice really, in terms of legality. Because again, by the time this video is rendered and uploaded, maybe the situation has changed. Now, they also say, Paxton office notes that penalties for noncompliance could result in fines up to, $500,000 up to 10 years in jail. Now, he says, quote, however, the Constitution does not give Congress the power to unilaterally regulate approximately 32.6 million organizations that have been granted formal corporate status by Texas. Which, again, Ken Paxton has his flaws, but I appreciate when he stands up for small businesses. I appreciate any politician who stands up for small businesses. Obviously, I'm biased, I own a couple, but yeah. Now, he said, quote, the so-called Corporate Transparency Act was an unconstitutional attempt by the federal government to undermine states' authority and crush small businesses under regulations, fines, and threats. Yeah, 110% true. Now, Judge Amos Mazat agreed, citing arguments made in several cases. He said, quote, great nations like great men should keep their word. Ours are written in the Constitution. That promises it makes to the people and the states alike are not hidden. The court must enforce them. The powers of the legislator are defined and limited, and those limits may not be mistaken or forgotten. The Constitution is written, while the court defers to Congress to matters of policy. Interpretation of the Constitution is an area where the Constitution or Congress enjoys no authority. The CTA was, quote, unprecedented, Mazat said, making a, quote, drastic twofold departure from history. First, it represents a federal attempt to monitor companies created under a state law, a matter our federal system has left almost exclusively to several states. Second, the CTA ends a feature of corporate formation as designed by various states and anonymity. Now, that being said, you still have an EIN number. So, like when businesses file federal taxes, you still have a federal tax ID. Like the feds don't know about the companies. He said, quote, this is from Ken Paxton. The ruling, quote, is a major victory for American entrepreneurs that the nation injunction will prevent this law from taking effect. Texas won yet another court battle last week against the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services after, and this is the other part of the article, after it announced it won't enforce a ruling requiring entities receiving Title X funding to dispense contraceptives to minors without parental consent, which, Jesus. I know it's a controversial topic for some people in terms of that stuff, but it is kind of creepy. Places like Planned Parenthood want to give out those things when they're younger and younger and younger. Now, Paxton sued in July, arguing that the rule violates Texas law. Both the district court he filed suit in and the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals previously ruled that the Title X program must comply with Texas laws that require parental consent before dispensing prescription contraceptives to minors, and that the, quote, Biden administration cannot use the Title X statute to present those parental consent laws. The rule prohibited Title X projects from notifying parents or guardians that the minor under the care was receiving prescription contraceptives or his family planning services, or they call it that. If they didn't comply, they could risk losing federal funding. Texas law requires that parents must consent to their child's medical care because, it's a child. So, two great wins. I guess you could argue that's a little bit cultural and political in terms of the second one. But, yeah. And thankfully, there's a couple folks in the government who stand up for small businesses. It's a rare thing. I wish everyone they should, but I wish everyone would do it. But yeah, it's pretty rare. Some great political news lately. I mean, truth be told, we've been long overdue. There's been a couple good things in the past couple years. But let me know in the comments. Do you think the feds will try to override the great state, or some might argue the great country of Texas? What your thoughts are? As always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 4,000 subscribers by Christmas. So if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.